what, the real struggle is now beginning. We're now starting to see the lines drawn in the sand. We're starting to see who, where, what, when, why, etc., etc. I want to start off with an article, a story about a large union, a sheet metal, air, transportation, rail. It's a really big union. 200,000 employees, folks. 200,000 employees. That's a lot, is it not? Yes, 200,000 employees are saying fuck you to Biden. That's a really, really, really big deal. They're saying no more of the mandate. Folks, the mandate, or rather the popularity of the Jim Jones juice has been a lie all along. And even the belief that unions, left-wing unions, would support what is going on. Well, I guess they'll support the idea that they're going to let all those ships stack up at our ports like Los Angeles, Long Beach, and other U.S. ports. I guess those unions will pull their labor and make sure nothing gets done for some political agenda to play out. But when it comes to their bodies, folks, when it comes to their bodies and their medical decisions, they don't like someone telling them what to do. They don't. We've seen it now with police. We've seen it with police unions. We've seen it with teachers. Apparently, I think it's Chicago. They're saying, nope, we're not going to mandate teachers there for the mandatory medical fund. It is incredible, folks. And it's just going to get worse. It's not that popular. People, I don't think, are taking it to the extent they said. What they're trying to do is they're trying to use the media to support the idea, to say, oh yeah, see, everyone takes it, so you should too. Well, the fight is coming down to this one issue. And it's incredible how, and this is, in my opinion, something I've experienced, and it's very common. That is that these socialist types, these Democrat, left-wing, way out here on the left, these types, they love to tell everyone else what to do. They love to mandate everything for everyone else. They love taxes for everyone else. Right? That's how they play the game. They love that for everyone else, but not for themselves. Right? Even gun control, folks. I've talked to numerous Democrats who own guns. Numerous Democrats who own guns, but believe that you, as a Trump supporter, you as a veteran, you as a patriot, an American, you should not have guns. But they are, because they're in their right mind. They literally believe that, folks. They believe that because they are so smart, they should be allowed all the special privileges. Because they're so good, they shouldn't pay taxes. Because their rights matter, they shouldn't have to take the Jim Jones jab. That's how these leftists think. Now, it's incredible here. Let's take a look at the governor of the great state of, I believe it's Oklahoma, says that they're not going to uphold the mandate in their state. They're not going to require everyone to get the Jim Jones juice there. Well, is he talking about just state workers, state employees? Or is he talking about, any business with more than 100 people? And this presents a whole new set of problems. Who is right and who is wrong when it comes to this? Because, folks, it's not really a mandate. Now, remember that. There is no real mandate. There's no executive order that's been signed. Nope, no executive order. There's no legislation that's been passed. Nope, that never happened. It's basically a press release with no supporting documentation. No signature on paper. No recognized authority that can be held accountable. They're just saying there's a mandate and then pushing it. Well, that's a federal thing. But the state says, no, you don't have to. Well, who is right and who is wrong? Who has the authority to say so? Well, we know when it comes to taxation, we have layers and layers and layers of taxation. You can have a city tax, a county tax, a state tax. You can have a homeowners association tax, plus federal. So when it comes to your body, can the state say we're not requiring it or we're not going to whatever? And so, yeah, the state. But This is like the Obamacare. Well, you don't have to get it. You don't have to get Obama. We're going to penalize you. You know, Justice John Roberts of the Supreme Court said, well, it's a tax is what it is. It's not a mandate that you buy health insurance. It's a tax if you don't. Well, I guess without going through all the legislative process, I guess the government could say, well, you know, we're not really mandating you get the Jim Jones juice, but if you fail to do so, there's going to be a special tax. Whole new can of worms on the federal level. Well, the state can't say the feds can't charge a tax. I mean, everyone can file a lawsuit, object to it, yada, 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 but they can't stop the feds from taxing because it's a separate jurisdiction. And it's not up to the state to tell the federal government who it can and can't tax. So here we have taxation without representation. If there was ever a clear-cut case in the United States of America of taxation without representation, it would be in this case. This federal mandate to get the Jim Jones juice, which they don't have a right to do, but they're going to charge a penalty on corporations. They're going to charge a penalty. They're going to fine people. Is taxation without representation. There's no one being represented here. There's no representative authority, not even the Gigi himself. Right? There's no paper sign. There is just this belief and this. I mean, and how do they do that? How does the IRS come to you? Right? The taxing authority. How does it come to people and say, you owe us a tax based on a press conference that Joe Biden held? I mean, they're not going to have an internal revenue code to refer to. There's no executive order. There's no law. There's no statute. So how are they going to levy this fine, if you will, if it doesn't come through the Internal Revenue Service? How, folks? This is arbitrary. It's fucking capricious. It's unprecedented. It's absolutely horrifying and terrible that this is how they're running the country. Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. And we're going to come to blows over it. We're going to come to blows. The states are saying no. Not all of them, but a lot of them. You know, now we got Oklahoma, Florida, Texas. Corporations are saying, well, not corporations, but rather unions are saying no. Police unions. There's some, like I said, this sheet metal union with 200,000 workers. We're seeing it everywhere. People saying, no, we're not doing it. This is all part of the to get to what everyone's waiting for, folks. The shit to really hit the fan. For sides to be chosen. I mean, is this going to end in a nice amicable split in the United States of America? Well, you know, these states won out. Secession's going to happen. You know, the big question is, how much tyranny will the American people take? You know, who has the right to say no? You know, how does this work? Well, I guess it was Thomas Jefferson that said, you know, it's up to the people to determine how much tyranny they suffer. Well, that's just what's going on, folks. People have had enough. They're like, you know what? You've taxed the shit out of us for years. You've destroyed the economy. You locked us down. You're doing this. You're doing that. But when it comes to giving everyone mandating the Jim Jones jab, that is the last straw. And people are walking away from their jobs. People, folks, are walking away from their careers. Doctors go to school for an additional, 8 to 10 years after, you know, basic education. They got, 8 to 10 years of higher education. And they're just walking away. Now, I admit that probably most of the ones that are walking away, they're probably in their 70s, 60s, 50s. They've got enough money. They got better things to do. But I do know some young medical folks, 30 years old, that is saying, you know what, fuck it, I quit. Guy's a registered nurse. He's like, fuck it, I quit. He's got years of education, and not as much as a doctor, but years, and he's like, I'm not going to do it. It's that important, you know. So this line has been crossed now by tyrannical government. And it's a significant, huge, significant portion of the population saying, not going to do it. You know, it is not just patriot groups. These are left-leaning, even though the members aren't, the unions themselves have always been Democrat supporters. Well, except for the New York police union that decided it was going to back President Trump. Oh, and by the way, yeah, now he's been raided and he's being investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Funny how that works. People are deciding, folks. They're choosing right now. Right now they're choosing. And they're making a professional, personal decision. They're quitting their jobs, or they're just telling their unions, we don't want this. Now, where does it go from here? Like I said, someone is going to have to execute the penalty phase. They're going to have to start sending, you know, bills in the mail. And I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can just send a bill without citing code or specifics as to who, where, what, when, and why is happening to them. Or can they just quote President Biden on such and such a press conference and say, there is the authority. Folks, that's a kingly edict. That is a royal demand upon the servants, the serfs, the peasants. This is America. That doesn't fly. So how does this work? Well, they're gonna push it, folks, and they're gonna keep pushing it. Will they? Does tyranny stop? Does tyranny back off? Does tyranny say, oh, we made a mistake, sorry about that? Can they do a mea culpa? Can they? I don't know. I really don't know what they're gonna do. I just know that tyrants typically don't back down. Tyrants usually don't concede, admit defeat, admit that they were wrong. So this is going to get worse, not better. The difference between people who think that Jim Jones Kool-Aid is just the way to go. They're going to continue to hate everyone who disagrees with them. There's going to be a continuance, folks, and we've got more stories to talk about, where those who have chosen not to, those who have denied, right, the Jim Jones juice mandate, who said no fucking way, they're going to be punished for it, and we're going to go over that. It's progressively getting worse, folks. It's not stalled, even though there's some evidence that things have been stalled. I don't know if it's been stalled or if we just now have evidence that people are fighting back and saying no. But I don't think the will of the political left, the will of the globalist corporations and banks, their will is not broken. They are not going to give up because they're really not the ones fighting, folks. The ones who are fighting are the corporations. The corporations, the banks are using politicians like Biden. They're disposable to them. Even the President of the United States is disposable in this case. So don't expect the fight to end anytime soon. In fact, it's just going to get worse. The fines, the demands, right? The threats of fines, the demands are going to become greater. The hysteria is going to increase just in time for Christmas, just in time to punish people at the holidays. Well, if you don't do as you're told, there'll be no Thanksgiving, there'll be no Christmas. Only the worst parents on the planet, folks, would ever say there's going to be no Christmas if you don't straighten up. Christmas is going to be canceled. You know, and I understand. I do. I understand how this works. We've seen it all before, folks. It's there in the history books. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Get prepared. Right? It's Friday. It's the end of the week. It's been a motherfucker of a week. And they're not going to quit. They're not going to go away. They may back off a little, but then they're just going to charge headlong right into us again. No mercy for us, folks. They're coming. Politicians are disposable. Police have discovered they're disposable. They're useful on the one hand, and they're disposable on the other. To them, folks, the people in power, we're just human resources to be used, abused, disposed, discarded, ignored, and shit on. That's right, even the police. They're just tools, folks. So you're going to have to remember, you're going to have to be your own food. You're going to have to be your own electricity. You're going to have to be your own self-defense, police, peace, law and order type of person. We're going to talk more, folks. There's a lot more to talk about. For now, chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed.